Hey guys, welcome to my channel today. Thank you so much for stopping by. In this video I'll be teaching you how to cut and sew this cold shoulder dress that you can see on your screen. For this tutorial you'll be needing 3 yards of fabric. Okay, it is advisable not to even use Ankara fabric at all. For me, I managed 2 yards of Ankara fabric. That is why my dress is not as full as the one on the thumbnail. My dress is short and the sleeve is also short, so I'll advise that you should use 3 yards. Even if you want to use an Ankara fabric, use 3 yards for your dress. So the first thing I did was to fold my fabric into 4 because I want to cut the front and the back together. So the next thing I'll do is to take my neck width. For the neck width I'll be using 4.5 inches. On the other end of the fabric I'm going to go down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope, and I'll slant from there to make the 4 inches as you can see me doing. After doing that, I'm going to take the neck depth. I'll be using 8 inches, so it depends on how deep you want the neckline to be. The one on the thumbnail is quite high, so after doing that I'm going to slant in a V shape from the 4 inches to meet the 8 inches, the 4.5 inches, sorry, to meet the 8 inches. After doing that I'm going to mark 2 inches. Okay, after this slant I'll mark 2 inches. So I'm placing my tape on the first slant and I'm marking 2 inches all the way to the end of this slant. When you get to the base of the V shape, I will advise that you give yours a round shape, not as V. You've seen the outcome of my dress and the neckline is really sharp while the one on the thumbnail is not sharp. So instead of making it into a V like this at the end, just give it a little round shape. After doing that, on the new neckline now, I'm going to go down by 3.5 inches. This 3.5 inches is going to be the depth of the cold shoulder. From that point also I'm going to go out by 8 inches, which is going to be the wideness of the cold shoulder. If you want yours wider, you can do more than 8 inches. If you want it deeper, you can do more than 3.5 inches. So after taking the 8 inches for the wideness of the cold shoulder, I don't have enough fabric for my sleeves. So my fabric is folded into 4, and what I have is 16 inches on one layer. So that is 16 times 4. That is why I said you should not use 2 yards of fabric. It's not going to be enough. Okay, so I'm going to be joining this fabric to the sleeves area. So first of all, I'm going to mark my shoulder. Half of my shoulder is 8 inches. From that 8 inches, you are going to determine the length of the sleeves. Okay, so the length of the sleeves, I don't want it to be too long, so I'll be marking 15 inches. Okay, from the 8 inches, which is half of my shoulder measurement, I'm going to mark 15 inches. Okay, so on the 15 inches I'm going to rule a straight line across. So now I'm going to connect from the 8 inches wideness of the cold shoulder to the 3.5 inches depth of the cold shoulder. If 3.5 inches is too deep for you, you can do 3 inches. So I'm going to mark 3 inches. I don't want to make it 3.5 inches, so I just marked 3 inches into the 8 inches wideness. The next thing you do is to mark your sleeves opening. So I'm going down by 10 inches. You know, if my fabric was 3 yards, I was supposed to mark on that part of the sleeves. Since I'm joining extra fabric to mine, that is why I'm connecting from the armhole like this. If you are using 3 yards and your fabric is folded into 4, it should be wide enough. So on the sleeves area, you just come in by 1 inch to give it like an armhole curve, and then you cut it all the way down. Okay, so after doing that, I'm going to go ahead and cut. So the first part of the neckline that I cut out is no longer needed. We'll be using this second one. Okay, so after doing that, I'm also going to open the cold shoulder area up. Okay, so after cutting on the shoulder area, the fabric that I joined, I didn't let it get to the shoulder slope. That is the one in shoulder slope, because I want to join the shoulders first before I join the fabric that I'm going to add. So I'll leave half an inch on that shoulder slope as you can see me doing, and I'm going to cut like this. So the next thing I'll do now is to just open up the sides. Okay, I'm not going to cut out anything because my fabric is already 2 yards, so my dress is not going to have volume. So I'm just opening it up. I'm not cutting anything out. Okay, so I'll first of all remove the part of the sleeves that I'm joining, and I'm going to cut off this excess fabric here. I'll open the sleeves area, the shoulder area, sorry, and then I'll notch the center of the sleeves that I'll be joining to my dress. After doing that, I'm going to open the dress up, and before I forget, the length of my dress is 34 inches. So I'm going to open it up. The first thing I will do is to join the shoulder area. So your fabric is complete, you are not adding any extra fabric for your sleeves. So once you open it up like this, go ahead and join the shoulders. Okay, this is the part of the neckline we'll be using. So I have this small shoulder area here. I'm going to join it first of all before I extend my sleeves. Okay, so I've gone ahead to join the shoulders, and this is what I have. The next thing I'll do now is to open the dress up. Remember, I notched the center of the fabric that I'll be using to extend the sleeves. I'm going to pin the center to the shoulder joining. Okay, so I'll pin, and I'll pin to the right. I'll also pin it to the left. I'll head over to my sewing machine to use half an inch to join them together. So guys, I've joined the shoulders together. So let's assume that you have joined your shoulder together. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to pipe this cold shoulder area. We can't leave it like this, so you can go ahead and cut out a bias tape that you'll be using to pipe the cold shoulder area. You're not sewing the neckline yet, so I'll be using my bias tape. I want the bias tape to turn to the right side, so what I'll do is to first of all sew on the wrong side of my fabric all the way around, and then I'll flip it over to the right side and I'll sew on it. So you can cut out a facing for it, you can cut out a bias to use to pipe the opening. Okay, if you don't have enough fabric, you can also hem it. After piping the cold shoulder area, I'm going to close up the sleeves. Okay, so for the sleeves I'm going to fold it twice, so go ahead and do that. Fold it twice, and then you're going to hem all the way around. Repeat the same thing for the other side of the sleeves, and if you have enough bias tape, you can use the bias tape for the sleeves area. After hemming the sleeves, I'll turn my dress to the wrong side, and I'm going to sew from the sleeves all the way to the base of the dress. So close your dress up on both sides using 1 inch or 1.5 inches. So the next thing I'll do now is to use the part of the neckline that we'll be using. I'll be placing it on this red fabric. I'm using the red fabric because I want it to be obvious. Okay, so this is the part of the V neckline that I said we'll be using earlier. So you're going to fold your fabric into 4, and then you're going to pin it down. Make sure the center is on fold the way it is, and you're going to add allowance all the way around, as you can see me doing. So I'm adding half an inch all the way. Okay, so add your half an inch all the way around, because we are going to stitch. If you use this original one and you stitch, it might not be able to fit into the neckline again because there is no allowance on it. That is why we have to recut it before sewing it to the bodies of the dress. So I'm adding half an inch all the way. After doing that, I'm cutting just one for now. I'll use this one to cut out the other 3. So you're cutting out 4, the center should be on fold. So after cutting, if you are using a lightweight fabric, you'll go ahead and iron interfacing to it to strengthen your fabric. Okay, you iron interfacing to the 4 of them. So after cutting this one out, I'll use it to cut out the remaining 3 that I'll be needing. So after cutting the 4 that you'll be needing, what you do now is to place them right sides facing right side, as you can see me doing. Okay, after placing it, you are going to sew on the shoulders using the half an inch that you left as your stitching allowance. Before you sew it down, make sure you pin it. You do that for this and you do that for the other one. Remember I said you should cut out 4. After sewing the shoulders in place, this is what I have. So the next thing I did was to now place them on each other, right sides facing right side. Okay, and then you are going to pin all the way around. Make sure as you are pinning, the joining on the shoulder is matching and the neck depth is also matching. So what you do is to go ahead and sew around the neckline all the way around. After sewing around the neckline, I went ahead to turn it inside out and I ironed it. The next thing you do is to fold half an inch in all the way around. So fold it in and use your iron to just hold everything down to give it a neat finishing. So I've gone ahead to do that. I folded half an inch all the way and I ironed everything down. So this is what I have. Okay, we are going to join it like this to the bodies of the dress. So what I'll do now is to bring in the bodies of my dress. I've gone ahead to sew the cold shoulder area using my bias. I've also hemmed the sleeves and I closed my dress on the side, as you can see. So the next thing we'll do now is to fix this now to the neckline area of the dress. So because we have ironed it inside, all you have to do is to start pinning. So please start pinning from the depth of the neckline. Don't pin on the shoulder just like you see me doing. It was a mistake, so I had to loosen it on the sewing machine and repin. So don't pin the way you see me doing. Pin from the depth, the neck depth, that is the center here. That way whatever is going to be left on the shoulder area, that is the cold shoulder area, is going to be obvious. Okay, I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So you are going to pin the front and then you are going to pin the back. After pinning, you are going to head over to your sewing machine to sew on a straight line. As you are sewing, make sure you are sewing on the half an inch that you ironed in, both on the front and at the back. So you are going to take your time to do this. You sew on the front and then you sew on the back. After sewing, you are going to go ahead and give it a good press so everything lays flat. So after pinning and sewing, this is what I have. So you can see that my neckline is a sharp V. It's not supposed to be so. It's supposed to have that round effect, and this mistake started from when I was drafting. And on this cold shoulder area, you can make that part as open as you want it to be. That is why I said you should pin from the center. Okay, I also noticed that the neck depth is too deep, so instead of using 8 inches, you can do like 6 inches. Okay, so it's not as deep as mine. The one on the thumbnail is a little bit high. So the last thing you do now is to hem the base of your dress, and that is all for this tutorial. I hope it was helpful. Don't forget to like this video, leave your questions in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.